Discovered, Millionaire's Heartwarming 180-degree turn transformed a poor single mother's life forever. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the modest homes of a tight-knit Arizona suburb. In one of these homes, Sarah, a determined single mother, threw open the door just as her two children burst in, their laughter echoing through the little house. She loved these moments, but the weight of their reality hung heavy on her shoulders. Working two exhausting jobs at the diner and cleaning houses, Sarah fought each day to make ends meet for her kids, ages 8 and 10. Still, she dreamed of a life where stress didn't cloud their smiles. Meanwhile, across town, Ethan, a wealthy businessman, stared at the walls of his opulent home, feeling suffocated by the silence. Despite being lauded for his philanthropy, Ethan's heart ached with loneliness. Attending high-profile galas filled with laughter and clinking glasses only served to highlight his isolation. Every achievement felt hollow, a ghost of what true happiness should feel like. Then disaster struck. One fateful evening, flames engulfed Sarah's home, reducing it to ashes before her eyes. The kids clung to her, their fearful eyes searing into her soul. The community rushed to help, with open hearts and willing hands, but as Sarah stood in the remains of her life, she felt invisible amidst their compassion. Desperation clawed at her, but deep down, the ember of hope kept her alive. Ethan drove through Sarah's neighborhood on that fateful night, his thoughts clouded in doubts until he saw the flickering flames. He felt a tightness in his chest as he assessed the reality of the destruction. The emotions surged within him like a tidal wave, pushing him to reach out. With a small flick of his wrist, he sent a message detailing his desire to help, feeling tethered to Sarah's plight, even though he was worlds away. When they met, Sarah's walls were high. With that initial exchange, he stepped beyond the cliché of platitudes and saw potential in her, a fierce mother with a treasured family recipe that could thrive as a catering business. Though hesitant, Sarah felt a spark of something, maybe hope. After all, who better to help than a man who had the means to make it possible? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As their partnership began, tension simmered beneath the surface. Misunderstandings rooted in their starkly different backgrounds threatened to fracture everything they had built. Sarah's insecurities gnawed at her, and Ethan felt the weight of expectations bearing down. The community rallied around them, organizing a fundraiser to support those impacted by the fire. It was a chance to unite, a hopeful breath amidst uncertainty. Yet, as the event drew near, a dark shadow lingered over their efforts. Both Sarah and Ethan left questioning if real trust and love could blossom in their divided world. And just as they began to see a flicker of success, a revelation at the event shattered Sarah's newfound hope, plunging her heart into an abyss of doubt about Ethan's intentions. This twist of fate would leave her questioning everything. Had she opened her life to a betrayal disguised as kindness? Would they stand united, or be pulled apart by the unseen chains of their upbringing? The flickering lights of the event mirrored the uncertainties within, setting the stage for an unexpected turn. The bustling atmosphere of the fundraiser wrapped around Sarah like a warm blanket, yet she felt anything but comfortable. The laughter of attendees and the hum of conversations washed over her, but every sweet sound was accompanied by an anxious heartbeat echoing through her chest. With every clink of glass, she fought the urge to shrink away, eyes darting from familiar faces to strangers. Her children clung to her side, their innocent smiles starkly contrasting the turmoil within her heart. Ethan remained a few feet away, effortlessly mingling with the crowd. His confident demeanor started to make her questions swell. Did he genuinely care for her, or was this merely a business venture to elevate his public persona? As she forced a smile, the memories of their earlier conversations played in her mind, but the revelation from the night before loomed larger. Did he have ulterior motives? The evening progressed, and Sarah found herself alone at a table, sipping on lemonade. Her gaze wandered over the crowd, watching as donations poured in. Briefly, she recalled how, without Ethan's encouragement, she'd never have considered running her own catering business. That thought, once a flicker of possibility, flickered like a dying flame. Wasn't it just another dream crafted by someone else's aspirations? Suddenly, a commotion near the stage caught her attention. The event host announced a special donor who had stepped up for the evening. Ethan stood there,
his tall frame radiating authority, as if the room drew energy from him. "I want to take this moment to remind everyone," he said, his voice smooth yet commanding, "that community is woven from the strength of its members. Let's invest in lives, not just businesses. If I had the means to help, so can you." Watching him, Sarah felt a swell of pride mixed with doubt. Was he authentic, or was this all an act? Could someone as wealthy as him truly understand the struggle she faced?
As his gaze swept the crowd, their eyes met for a fleeting moment. It sent a shock through her, an unexpected sense of connection. But was she ready to trust him, to believe that his intentions were pure? Just then, a woman approached her table, her smile bright and warm. "You're Sarah, right?" she asked. Without waiting for an answer, she continued, "I heard your story. It's inspiring. I truly admire your strength." Sarah smiled softly, her defenses wavering. This woman's kindness felt genuine, and for a brief second, she allowed herself to breathe. Then another voice chimed in. "It's crazy what happened, isn't it?" A man walked over, shrugging off the heaviness with a laugh that felt almost forced. "Can you believe that millionaire wants to play hero?" The words hung in the air for a moment, as Sarah hesitated. Was this what people whispered about Ethan? Was her own fear and doubt now manifesting into whispers amidst those who had once offered her support? As the darkened hallway creaked underfoot, Sarah felt the walls around her close in. She couldn't let rumors shake her resolve, but she also didn't want to be swept away in a whirlwind of deceit. In her heart, she longed for Ethan to prove them wrong, to show her that their bond could be more than a transaction. Eventually, driven by an impulsive need for clarity, Sarah made her way to where Ethan was standing, surrounded by admirers. The moment their eyes met again, it felt electric. "Ethan!" she called, the crowd momentarily fading away. An anxious gasp filled the air as those close by turned to watch their exchange. "Can we talk?" His smile faltered slightly, surprise and concern flickering in his gaze as he nodded. As they stepped away, neither of them noticed the photographer lurking in the shadows, ready to capture this moment of tension. What Sarah was about to ask could either mend the fractures between them or deepen the divide. "What's really driving you, Ethan?" she demanded, her voice steady yet fragile, filled with longing for transparency and truth. And as he took a breath, Sarah could sense the weight of his answer hanging between them, thick with secrets and uncertainty. Did he truly care, or was it all just a facade? She could feel her heart race, waiting for the revelation that could change everything. In their world of diverging paths, would they come together or fall apart in the uncertainty of unspoken truths? Ethan hesitated, his eyes searching for the right words. The crowd buzzed in the background, but in this moment, it was just the two of them. Sarah could practically see the gears turning in his mind. "Sarah," he finally replied, his voice low but firm, "you're asking the hardest question I've faced since starting this journey." There was vulnerability in his tone that surprised her. She thought she'd only see the poised businessman, the man who danced in the limelight. Instead, he felt reachable, almost like an old friend.
A flicker of hope ignited in her chest. "I didn't just become this guy overnight," he continued, looking slightly away as if the truth weighed heavily on his shoulders. "I built my empire from nothing. I understand struggle. I lived it, and it prompted a fire in me to give back, to help others find their path. You inspire me, you know that?" His confession struck a chord deep within her. The walls she'd built so high around her heart began to show cracks. Did he mean it? Could he see her struggles as more than just a story? "But inspiration doesn't come without its shadows," he added, his voice tinged with an undercurrent of caution. "I'm not just a philanthropist. There are people who think I'm sincere, and there are others who believe I'm just playing a game, a distraction from my past." The way he said past hung between them like an ominous cloud. Sarah's pulse quickened. She needed to know more, but part of her hesitated. Could this be the tipping point where her trust was either rebuilt or destroyed? "Ethan, I believe in second chances. I believe people can change, but you must understand, I'm scared." Her voice broke slightly, the truth spilling out before she could rein it in. "I've sacrificed so much for my kids, and I can't bear the thought of being let down again. I can't get hurt." He moved closer, his eyes locked on hers, filled with something she hadn't seen before. Was it sincerity? Was it empathy? "I understand that fear. Trust is fragile," he said softly, "but I promise you, I'm here for you. This community, it means everything to me.
not just as a business venture, but as a family I never had. The seriousness in his tone sent a slight chill down her spine, yet somewhere within, that flicker of hope began to blaze again. You mean a lot to me, Sarah. I care about what you're doing. This catering business, your kids, your dreams. I want to support you, not simply from a distance, but as someone who walks alongside you. His words wrapped around her like a lifeline. Could this be the moment everything shifted? Just then, a fanfare erupted from the main stage. The event host was announcing the final stretch of the evening, incentives for last-minute donations, and there was applause echoing through the hall. The world outside their little bubble pressed in, reminding Sarah of the urgency that time had taken. "Ethan," she said, grounding herself, "if you really mean this, I need your help, not just as a donor, but as someone who believes in community, like you said." He nodded, determination illuminating his face. "Whatever it takes, I want to show you that I'm different." Around them, the chatter grew louder, the laughter mixing with the clinks of glasses, but all Sarah could focus on was the man across from her, the man with the potential to either empower her or shatter her already delicate reality.
They shared a moment, the weight of their words sinking deep into their hearts, promises hovering in the air like unspoken intentions. She found herself holding her breath, waiting for whatever came next. But as the applause faded, a shadow from the side of the hall caught her eye. It was the photographer, camera raised, seemingly intent on capturing their intimate moment. Sarah's heart raced again, not just from how close they had come to sharing a new understanding, but from the realization that their lives may be on the brink of being dissected by the world. What would it mean if this sudden connection became public? Would it heal the cracks, or only deepen the divisions? Sarah stood on the precipice of a choice: embrace the warmth of Ethan's heart, or guard the vulnerable parts of herself once more. A decision waited just ahead, one that could entwine their paths forever, or set them adrift. And as the realization washed over her, she couldn't shake the feeling that the next steps they took were critical, decisions that would define not just their relationship, but their futures. What lay ahead, beyond the fading applause, felt charged with uncertainty and potential. Would she leap into the unknown? The moment froze as the camera flash went off, a sudden burst of light piercing through their bubble. Sarah felt her heart drop. This wasn't just an intimate exchange. It was about to become a public spectacle, laid bare for anyone to dissect. The warmth between her and Ethan felt suddenly vulnerable, and her mind raced with questions. What would people think? She glanced back at Ethan, whose expression shifted to one of determination, as if he sensed her anxiety. "Ignore them," he murmured, barely audible above the roar of the crowd. But it wasn't that simple. How could she ignore the implications? Would the world see them as a power couple, or would it just highlight her insecurities? A simple woman caught up in a millionaire's game. "Ethan," she hesitated, "do you really mean what you said about walking alongside me?" His gaze bore into hers, steady and unwavering. "Absolutely. But it has to start here, now, together against whatever comes our way." Taking a breath, she contemplated his words. Could she take that leap of faith, knowing the world was watching? The weight of her decision felt heavier now, layered with responsibility not just for herself, but also for her children. Before she could respond, the event host's voice cut through the air, announcing a last-minute matching donation. Eager applause erupted, and the crowd began to disperse, mingling and chattering. People were excited, eager to contribute to a cause that had begun to take on a life of its own. "Let's get out of here, find somewhere quieter," Ethan suggested, his eyes scanning the room. Reluctantly, she nodded, a mixture of nerves and anticipation swirling in her gut.
They slipped through the crowd, and she felt the glances aimed their way. Not just the typical admiration for Ethan, but a curiosity aimed at her, too. She was stepping out of the shadows into the light, and it was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Ethan led her toward a dimly lit corner of the hall, where potted plants created a little enclave away from prying eyes. He leaned against the wall, shoulders relaxed yet ready. "This is a place to breathe," he said, his smile easing her tension. As she looked up at him, the flicker of hope she'd felt earlier didn't just survive, it flared into something more. "Thank you for doing this, for believing in me." "Always," he replied, his voice resonating with certainty. "I want to help you however I can. We can make something beautiful here."
A sudden thought struck her. What about your past? Can you tell me more about it? I need to understand the man who's offering this support. He shifted, the warmth in his expression giving way to a shadow, a tension she could feel. I've made mistakes, Sarah, serious ones. When I started out, the choices I made were less than honorable. I lost people I cared about because I thought I could only rise by stepping on others. It nearly cost me everything. His confession hung in the air, raw and heavy. That honesty cut through her reservations, and she knew they were both walking a tightrope, him through his past and her through her fears. And how did you change? Ethan took a deep breath. I realized that power isn't about control, it's about connection. That's when I decided to devote myself to helping others. Listening to him, Sarah felt an unexpected surge of empathy. It was one thing to make mistakes, it was another to learn from them, to evolve. You've worked hard to turn things around, she said, searching his eyes for clarity. But can people really change? Can you change? His gaze softened, sincerity etched across his features. Every day I'm working to be better. It's a journey, just like yours. As his words sank in, an undeniable realization began to unfurl within her. Maybe trust didn't have to be a wall. Maybe it could be a bridge, a pathway to better things. Her heart and mind danced in a tentative rhythm. But before she could respond, the ground shifted beneath them. Laughter erupted nearby, and suddenly a figure pushed through the crowd, the very person she hoped to avoid. It was Jennifer, the town's gossip and her biggest critic, headed straight for them. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Would the next moment tear down everything they had built? As she stood ready to face the confrontation, she couldn't help but wonder how much her past and the whirlwind of the present would converge. What would Jennifer reveal? How would it change everything? Jennifer swept through the crowd like a storm cloud, her eyes narrowed and her lips curled into a smirk.
The laughter surrounding them faded, replaced by a suffocating tension that gripped Sarah's chest. She felt exposed, like a book laid open for anyone to read, every page a whispered secret of her past. "Wow, Ethan," Jennifer chirped, clapping her hands together. "Did you really think no one would notice you were spending time with the town's charity case?" Her voice dripped with feigned sweetness, yet out, once buzzing with excitement, now watched with bated breath, eager for the drama to unfold. Ethan stepped forward, his stance radiating protectiveness. "That's enough, Jennifer. Sarah is not a charity case. She's a strong, incredible woman who deserves respect." His voice held conviction, and Sarah couldn't help but feel warmth radiate from his support. But fear seeped in. What if it wasn't enough? Jennifer laughed, the sound high and mocking. "Respect? From you? Sweetheart, the world doesn't see her the way you do. They see a single mother looking for a way up," she countered. "And you're just another stepping stone." A murmur spread through the audience. Sarah felt the heat rise in her cheeks and a knot twisted in her stomach. Was she really just a stepping stone in Ethan's life? The whisper of doubt settled deep within her, spurring a desperate need to defend herself. "You don't know anything about me, Jennifer," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. Jennifer leaned in, eyes glinting with mischief. "Oh, but I know enough. Your struggles are public knowledge. Everyone is just waiting for the next chapter, to see how long this little fairy tale lasts." With every word, Jennifer's intent was clear. She was there to shake Sarah's foundation, to remind her of her place in this world. But as Sarah looked at Ethan, she saw sincerity in his eyes, a glimmer of belief that rooted her in that moment. Maybe this was her chance to step into the light, to challenge the narrative that had been written for her. "Let me tell you something, Jennifer," Sarah said, straightening her shoulders. "I'm more than my past mistakes. I'm working hard every day for my kids and for myself. You may think I'm just a charity case, but I'm building a life worth living." The crowd was silent, caught off guard by the intensity of her words. Even Jennifer seemed momentarily taken aback. "And you believe this fairy tale with Ethan will change that?" she shot back, trying to regain control of the narrative. "Whoa there, hold on." Ethan put a hand on Sarah's shoulder before she could respond. His gaze shifted back to Jennifer, and he spoke directly, unfazed by the tension. "What I see in Sarah is strength. She's not looking for handouts, she's looking for a partner, and that's not something you can diminish with your petty insults." A ripple of surprise passed through the onlookers. For the first time, it seemed that they were not peering into a spectacle, but witnessing a moment of transformation. Jennifer scoffed, but the tightness in her expression revealed that the words had struck a chord. "You'll pay for this, mark my words. People don't change," she hissed, before turning to leave, leaving a trail of murmurs in her wake. As the crowd started to disperse, Sarah felt her heart racing. Did I do enough?" she asked quietly, looking up at Ethan, whose eyes still held that bright spark of admiration. "You did more than enough," he said, his voice low but strong. "You stood up for yourself. That takes courage, Sarah." But doubt lingered in her mind. She pressed her lips together, searching his gaze for the reassurance she needed. "You really believe I can break free from all this?" "I know you can," he replied, conviction in every word, pulling her closer. "You're on a path of evolution, and it starts with moments like these. Just remember, the past only defines those who allow it to." And that brought her to a new understanding, one that uncorked hope and the promise of a future she might not have dared to dream about weeks ago. But just as a sense of calm began to settle around them, a familiar face emerged from the shadows, eyes sharp and questioning. It was Sarah's best friend, Nora. "What did I miss?" she asked, a concerned expression crossing her features. Sarah's heart raced again, realizing that while she had confronted her past, she was still far from grasping the future. Would her friends be supportive, or would they mirror the sentiments of others? Would their acceptance transform her journey, or would she be forced back into the shadows? Sarah felt the weight of Nora's gaze, a blend of concern and curiosity. She knew her friend well. Nora had always been her rock. But this moment felt different. There was a silence between them, an unspoken urgency. "Hey, come here," she said, taking a step forward, hoping to break the tension. The crowd had mostly dispersed, leaving only the echoes of whispers and scattered laughter behind. She wanted to share everything, the confrontation, her fears, the newfound bravery, but words tangled, caught in her throat. Nora stepped closer, her eyes searching Sarah's face. "You okay? I saw Jennifer making a scene." "Yeah, I was just—" Sarah's voice wobbled, and in that instant she found herself teetering on the edge of vulnerability. I stood up to her. For the first time, I didn't let what she said just slide. A smile broke across Nora's face, relief flooding her features. "See, I knew you had it in you. You're so much stronger than, well, what you think," she said, draping her arm around Sarah's shoulder. "But did I do it right?" Sarah asked, glancing back where Ethan stood, still watching, his expression proud yet worried. "What if I still haven't proven myself? What if they still see me the same way? She tailed off, feeling the walls of doubt creeping back in. Nora squeezed her shoulder. "You did great. You spoke your truth. People respect that. I respect that."
Her friend's words held weight, yet Sarah couldn't shake the fear that it wasn't enough. As they walked to rejoin Ethan, Sarah glanced over her shoulder, catching Jennifer standing at a distance, arms crossed defensively, her expression a mix of disbelief and irritation. Sarah's stomach knotted. Would Jennifer come back for round 2? "Forget about her for now," Ethan said, moving closer, his eyes steady and warm. "Worry about what this means for you." He reached for Sarah's hand, and she felt a jolt of electricity course through her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. You need to take a moment for yourself," he gestured, guiding them both toward a quieter corner of the venue, away from prying eyes. "Look, what Jennifer said might have seeped under your skin, but you can't let it grow roots. You're blossoming into someone new, and it's okay to feel unsure." His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, something Sarah had craved during this entire ordeal. "I just don't know if I can stand tall all the time," she admitted. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be you. The you who stood up to Jennifer. The you who is fighting for her kids. That's more than enough." Tears pricked her eyes as Ethan's words echoed in her heart. "You really believe in me?" Without hesitation, he nodded. "Always have. You've been through so much, and yet here you are, showing strength when it matters most. That's inspiring." But even as she soaked in his encouragement, a troubling thought rushed through her. What if people turn away when they realize how messy things really are? They may,
But trust the people who truly value you, he said, his gaze steady. From inside this experience, you'll learn who your real friends are and who will hang around for the drama. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling both terrified and exhilarated. If she could confront Jennifer, maybe she could tackle the whispers behind closed doors too. Her heart raced again, not out of fear this time, but determination. Just then, a familiar voice called out from behind them, a playful lilt that pierced the moment's wait. "Sarah, Ethan, those were some serious words back there. What's the scoop?" Both Sarah and Ethan turned to see another friend, Lucas, stepping into the conversation, his brow arched in amusement. "Not this again," Sarah whispered to Ethan, a grin breaking through her uncertainty. "Just go with it," he chuckled. As Lucas approached, Sarah felt a thrill coursing through her. Perhaps this could be the beginning of a new chapter, where she wasn't afraid to shine, where laughter mingled with her struggles. But just when the camaraderie pulled her in, she caught sight of Ethan's unease, a storm brewing behind his bright eyes. Before she could ask, he glanced at the entrance, and her heart sank as a familiar figure strode through the crowd, a serious expression etched on his face.
What would he want now? And how would it change everything she had just begun to heal? Sarah's pulse quickened as her gaze locked onto the figure weaving through the crowd. It was Ryan, the very man she had hoped to avoid tonight. His presence cast a shadow that darkened the little light she had just found in Ethan's support. She could feel the warmth in her cheeks evaporate, replaced by a chill of anxiety. "Is it just me, or does he look angry?" Lucas asked, tilting his head in curiosity. The lightness in his voice offered a brief distraction, but Sarah's instinct told her to prepare for something confrontational. Ethan's grip on her hand tightened. "Stay with us, Sarah. Whatever he wants, we'll face it together." "Yeah, right," Sarah replied, her voice a shaky whisper. "Together, until he decides to tear me apart again." The fear loomed larger than anything, stronger than the resolve she had built up moments ago. As Ryan approached, the laughter around them faded, leaving a tense silence in its wake. People turned their heads, some whispering in the background. The scene felt claustrophobic, as if the walls were closing in on her. "What do you want, Ryan?" she managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. "Can we talk?" His tone was low, almost pleading, but she detected an edge that made her instincts scream. The distance she had built, the barriers against his demands and manipulations, felt ready to collapse. "I don't think we have anything to discuss." Sarah's determination flickered like a candle dancing in the wind. She could feel Ethan's support radiating beside her. "Please, just for a minute," Ryan pressed, his eyes darting between Sarah and Ethan. "I need to explain." "Oh, I'm sure you do," she shot back, crossing her arms defensively. "What could possibly make any of this okay?" "Can we step aside?" He gestured to a quieter corner, a glimpse of sincerity etched in his brow. Sarah hesitated, torn between facing her fears and protecting her newfound courage. "Please, Sarah," he added, desperation now coating his voice. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk about the kids." That mention of her children made Sarah's heart lurch. Ryan had always used their kids as leverage. She glanced at Ethan, silently seeking support. He nodded, his expression soft yet fierce. "Fine, just for a moment," Sarah relented, her stomach twisting as they moved away from Lucas, who watched with concern. As they drifted toward the dimmed corner, she could feel every heartbeat echoing in her ears. Ryan leaned against the wall, his muscles tense. "I know I've messed up. I can admit that," he began, his voice suddenly vulnerable. "But things have changed for me. I'm ready to start taking responsibility." "Responsibility?"
Is that what you call walking away whenever things get difficult? She felt frustration bubbling to the surface. "You're not the hero of this story, Ryan." "But I want to be," he insisted, his eyes burning with a mixture of anger and remorse. "I've been looking for a way to give you the support you deserve." For a moment, Sarah was taken aback by his intensity, the sincerity gripping at something buried deep within her. Could he really change? Or was this just another well-rehearsed performance designed to tug at her heartstrings? Before she could respond, Ethan stepped forward, his protective stance present. "You need to remember, Sarah, your strength isn't dependent on him or anyone else. Don't let his words sway you from the path you've begun." Caught between the two, Sarah felt a tremor of doubt and stubborn resolve battling within her. Here was Ryan standing before her, trying to rewrite his part of the story. But could she trust him again? "Just know, whatever happens next, I'll be here," Ethan whispered, grounding her. But even with those words, Sarah's mind racing in circles struggled to settle. If Ryan was serious, what would that mean for her new life? Could she navigate this mess without losing sight of what she had just started to rebuild? Before she could sort through the chaos, Ryan leaned closer, a desperate whisper escaping him. If you'd only give me another chance. What would she decide? And could her heart withstand yet another upheaval? The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, suffocating and electric. Sarah felt her heart pound in her chest as Ryan's words hung there, dangerously tempting and laced with all the pain of their shared past. Could this be a moment of true change for him, or was it just another act, another moment she would regret later? Ethan's presence beside her steadied her. She could draw strength from him, and yet the pull of history tugged sharply at her resolve. "You're asking for another chance," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly, but clear. "But what have you done to earn it? You think words alone can fix everything?" Ryan's eyes flickered with something close to desperation. "I've started going to therapy, Sarah," he said almost imploringly. "I'm trying to understand my mistakes and how they affected you and the kids. I want to be a better father, a better man." The notion stung. Therapy? The thought that the man who once brought her so much pain could actually seek help was almost incomprehensible. "And you think that's enough?" she shot back, half angry, half intrigued. "You can't just waltz back into our lives because you've had a few sessions." "Maybe I don't deserve that chance," Ryan admitted, his tone softening. "But I'm willing to earn it, if you just let me in. I know you're scared, and you have every right to be. I don't want to do this alone anymore." The honesty in his voice punched through her defenses. What if, somewhere deep inside, he was speaking truth?
Yet she couldn't ignore the wariness welling up inside her. Ryan had made her promises before. Ethan stepped forward again, his grip gentle yet firm on her shoulder. "You have changed so much, Sarah. You've built a life for yourself and for your kids. Just remember, we've come so far. You need to think about what's right for you, not what he wants." Her frustration peaked. "You don't get it," she snapped, frustration spilling out. "What if he's serious this time? What if he really loves our kids? I can't keep shutting him out forever." "Or what if this is just another manipulation?" Ethan countered, his face a mask of concern. "Look at everything he put you through. You have every right to protect your heart and your children." The heat of the argument sparked between them, but Sarah felt her insides twist with the conflict of emotions. Ryan looked on, silent now, perhaps considering the fracture in their world. Taking a deep breath, Sarah brushed her hair aside, trying to clear her mind. "I want my kids to know their father, but I also need to protect them and myself. It's a delicate balance." She could feel the weight of her decision pressing down on her, clenching her heart. Was she really prepared to dive into this mess again? With Ryan standing there, the flicker of hope emerging in his eyes made her question everything. Ryan stepped forward again, his voice barely above a whisper. "I promise I won't let you down again. Just give me a chance to show you I can be different." Could she really take the risk? Sarah could feel the tug-of-war intensifying in her heart, the fight between hope and caution. Her eyes moved between Ryan's pleading gaze and Ethan's steady support. As her heart wrestled with itself, she suddenly felt the air shift, revealing a deeper question that loomed in the shadows of her mind. What if I say yes? What does that really mean for me and the kids? Am I just setting myself up for heartbreak again? The uncertainty lingered in the air, thick and palpable. Sarah was about to step into the unknown again, a leap of faith as daunting as it was tempting. And as she grappled with the enormity of that choice, the realization struck her. A decision was waiting to be made, echoing louder with each heartbeat. What would happen if she opened her heart? And could Ryan really be the man he claimed to be now? The silence in the room was suffocating. Sarah's heart was racing, pounding so loudly she thought everyone could hear it. The weight of the moment pressed in on her from all sides. Facing Ryan felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. What lay below was uncertain, but the view was spectacularly tempting. Ethan shifted beside her, his hands still resting lightly on her shoulder. She could feel the warmth of his support, his silent reminder that she was not alone in this chaotic moment. "Sarah," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper,
No matter what you choose, I'll be here. Just
think about your heart and your kids. She turned to look at Ryan, who stood waiting with an intensity that threatened to pull her in. His eyes shimmered with vulnerability, a reflection of the man she once knew, mixed with the man who had evolved in ways she couldn't yet understand. "I'll give you one chance," she finally said, surprised at her own resolve. "But it's not just about you. It's about what's best for my kids." Ryan nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "I get it. This isn't just about us. I want to be a part of their lives. I'll prove to you that I can be the father they deserve." A flicker of hope lit his features, and it twisted something deep in her chest. As she processed his promise, doubt pooled in the corners of her mind. "Talk is cheap, Ryan," she replied sternly. "You have to show me. For every word you speak, I need to see action." "I will," he insisted, his voice firm, infused with an urgency that sparked something in her spirit. "I'm ready to put in the work. I might not have been there before, but that's going to change. I want to help you raise them, if you'll let me." The words felt heavy with meaning. In her heart, a cautious optimism began to bloom. But just as quickly, she felt a rush of fear. What if he still had the ability to hurt them? Her gaze shifted to Ethan, who watched her with an expression that was both supportive and uncertain. "Can we take it slow?" she proposed, her voice steadier now, a resolve she hadn't felt moments before. "I need proof before I let you into our lives fully." "Whatever it takes," Ryan promised, and for the first time, she believed there was sincerity behind those words. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake her uncertainty. Would this new commitment last? As the dread swirled inside her, she pictured her kids, so innocent, so unaware of the complicated journey ahead. She needed to keep them safe, more than anything. Just as she nodded in agreement, the pull of a sudden thought struck her like lightning. What if she was about to open Pandora's box? As a long sigh escaped her lips, time seemed to freeze around their little circle. Ethan looked between her and Ryan, his expression difficult to read. "Just remember, Sarah," he interjected softly, "you don't owe him anything. Protect your heart and your kids first." His words hung in the air, a reminder of the fragile balance she had to find. Facing Ryan, she felt a jolt of uncertainty again, grappling with her decision. Could Ryan's change really bring a better future? Or was she sending a signal for trouble? "Meet me tomorrow afternoon," Ryan said, bravely breaking the oppressive silence. "Let's talk, just the three of us. I want to help you, help them understand." Her heart fluttered at the idea, but was quickly laced with a thread of anxiety.
Sarah found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, standing on the line between a potential fresh start and the fear of a future she couldn't predict. Before she could reply, a realization loomed heavy. What if their meeting unveiled deeper feelings? What if it ignited the tender kind of love that had once flickered between her and Ryan? With her mind racing and her heart conflicted, Sarah found herself staring not just at Ryan's hopeful face, but into a future that could either heal or harm. "Tomorrow," she finally whispered, feeling a rush of vulnerability wash over her. And as she stood there, teetering on the edge of her decision, she knew one thing for certain: tomorrow would change everything. What awaited them in that conversation felt like a turning point, and Sarah couldn't escape the feeling that it might be the beginning of something new, but also fraught with challenge. What secrets would line that path, just waiting to be uncovered? The morning sun broke over the Arizona horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and amber. Sarah stood in her kitchen, the aroma of fresh coffee mingling with the scents of a nearby breakfast, yet her heart felt heavy. Tomorrow loomed ahead, and everything hung in the balance. Her kids were busy at the table, unaware of the storm swirling inside her mind. They were laughing, their innocence a stark contrast to her worries. She wanted to shield them, to protect them from any additional hurt, yet the opportunity for Ryan to change flowed through her thoughts like a river of uncertainty. As she sipped her coffee, Ethan's words echoed in her mind. "You don't owe him anything." The truth stung, but a nagging hope lingered. Ryan had claimed to want to change, but could he truly? And if he couldn't, what would that mean for her family? The day stretched on, and every hour felt like an eternity. She busied herself with work, pouring her energy into the catering orders that had begun trickling in. She found solace in the kneading of dough, in the slicing of vegetables, a rhythmic task that allowed her some peace.
When the evening finally arrived, she prepared a simple dinner. The table was set with the same care she always took. It was a small act of love for her children, filled with laughter and love. Yet even amidst the warmth of the moment, her mind swirled with questions about the next day. As they settled in for movie night, she watched her kids cuddle in, their faces lit up with joy. "Are you okay, Mom?" her youngest asked, noting her distant stare. "Yeah, honey, just a little tired," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. How could she explain the torrent of emotions, the inadequacy that threatened to overwhelm her? Later that night, as they drifted off to sleep, Sarah lingered in the dim light of their rooms. She knelt beside their beds, brushing a gentle hand over their foreheads.
"Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that I love you both very much," she whispered, her heart swelling with the deep complexities of motherhood. The following day came too soon. The sun rose with an electric energy, but Sarah felt drained. She had prepared mentally. She had to be strong. Their meeting was a vital chapter for them all. But as she drove to the park where Ryan had suggested they meet, doubt gnawed at her. When she arrived, her heart raced as she spotted him sitting on a bench, hands clasped together, an anxious energy about him. He looked up when she approached, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. "Hey," Ryan greeted, rising as she arrived. He looked different, more vulnerable than she remembered. "Thanks for coming." "Let's just get this over with," she replied, her heart pounding in rhythm with her growing anxiety. "What do you want to say?" Ryan took a deep breath. "I want to start by saying I'm sorry," he began. "Sorry for everything. I messed up, and I know I've let you down. I understand the chaos I created in your life, and I can't take it back. But I want to do better." She studied him, searching for sincerity. "You say that now, but how do I know it's real this time?" Sarah's voice wavered slightly, the emotion thick in the air. "I want to prove it to you," he replied earnestly. "I've been working on myself, taking therapy seriously. It isn't just about me anymore. It's about being a responsible father. I want to be there for the kids, friends, role model, whatever they need. I'm ready to show up." As he spoke, flashes of the past swept through her mind, the good, the bad, the moments that had broken them apart. She felt a fence rising, a protective barrier that had kept her heart safe, yet glimmers of their shared history whispered of what could be. "I need you to be there, not just in words, but in action," Sarah said, her resolution firm. "If you're going to do this, you really have to mean it. I can't have you slip back into your old habits." "I understand," he said, his voice steady. "Starting today, I'm not just going to talk the talk. I want to be present in their lives. I still want to share fun moments with them, take them places, and help you with the challenges you face as a single mom." Taking a breath, Sarah weighed the truth in his words. Would she be putting her children at risk? Would the promise of change just crumble again under the pressures of life? "Let me be honest," she continued. "This isn't just about you and me. I can't forget the past, and I don't want to open a door that only leads to heartache for them." Ryan nodded, the determination etched into his features. "I'll do everything I can to earn your trust. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I hope you can see I'm putting in the effort." And as they exchanged glances, she sensed that possibility, an opportunity for something more. "I want you to see them, Ryan," she agreed cautiously, "but let's start small."
Maybe you spend some time with them, get to know who they are now. I need to see that you're serious. "Absolutely, I'll do anything you need me to do," he promised, eyes bright with hope. "I just want to be a part of their lives." Sarah took a moment to breathe, allowing the weight of their conversation to settle around them. There was a flicker of hope, and she realized that while the past wouldn't vanish, they could still build something new. They could be architects of their own futures. As they discussed logistics and plans, laughter bubbled between them, echoing the laughter of days gone by, reminding her that maybe there was still light in the shadows. For Sarah, this was just a start, a beginning to a new journey filled with uncertainty, yet wrapped tightly in newfound courage. Walking away from their talk, she felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. It wouldn't be easy, and there were still mountains to climb, but this could be the first step toward healing their broken pieces. When she returned home, her kids greeted her with wide smiles, their innocence a balm to her spirit. There would be challenges, but for the first time in a long while, Sarah felt balanced, filled with hope for a future woven from trust, growth, and connection. A tapestry that could not only include Ryan, but also intertwine with the love for her children. That evening, as they settled into their nightly routine, she felt ready to embrace whatever came next. Together, they could face the world,
and this time she would protect her heart, no matter what future storms lay ahead. Tomorrow wouldn't be perfect, but it would be another chance, an opportunity to strengthen not just her family, but herself, and for that she felt genuinely grateful. So much lay ahead, and Sarah was finally ready to embrace it, not with fear, but with open arms. Now, more than ever, she understood that transformation was within reach, and that love could shine through even the darkest days. And perhaps, just perhaps, they would all find their way home. This was just the beginning of their beautiful journey, one where every story counts, and every second matters. And if you felt touched by this story, if you see the possibility of transformation in your own life, remember, it's never too late to start anew. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes a difference at every turn. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.